Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great. Appreciate you stopping by. Hit that like button, comment. Also, subscribe to the 56WQM YouTube page. You can watch Tobin and Leroy every single weekday. Started off today's show with a bit of a heat tirade on a lot of the bull bleep I've been seeing from the national media. I'll link that in the description so you guys could check that out for yourself. I think that'll encourage you to swing by the radio show every now and then. But appreciate all you for stopping by here, and now that you have. So, Miami Heat President Pat Riley spoke to reporters in his office today. He spoke to the beat reporters who cover the team. Anthony Chang, Ira Windeman, Tim Reynolds. I'm assuming Cooper Moorhead from the website as well. And Pat had some, a lot of thoughts on everything. I believe he was speaking because he is having the court dedicated to him a week from yesterday. I'm recording this on a Thursday night. So opening night on the 23rd, it will be Pat Riley Court at the Kaseya Center. That'll be dedicated. And he said of the honor, he's, it was wondering if that, with him going into his 30th year, this is from the Miami Herald, he doesn't know when he will step away from his role as Heat president, enter retirement. It's like, quote, "There's no idea." And I think that's the greatest thing about it, is that you've got to ask this question. Others have asked this question, how long? I get it. He even asked Mickey Arison as a joke. He said, "I said to Mickey the other day, I said, is this your message? Are you giving me this honor to push me out of here? We can still wait a couple of years." That crossed my mind. It was one of the first things that actually crossed my mind. One, I feel like Pat Riley has been dying to go out on top. Like, I think that has been the ultimate. Like, if he was able to go out with the championship, whether it was in 2020 or it was going to be in 2023, that would have been the ultimate. Like, I think he does want that one more. And then, it doesn't happen. And then you wonder, like, all right, well, when is the perfect time to step away? And, he's going to be 80 in the middle of the season. He is going to be, he is in his 30th season with the Miami Heat. Like, it does feel like that rounded number, but I don't know. I don't think Pat Riley is at that point where he envisions it. And I think that he's got, the great team around him to cover a lot of everything as well. Not that he's, not involved or anything like that, but he has a great support system around him as well. But it definitely crossed my mind when the court honor came out. I think I talked about this in the video that I did originally when it happened. I was wondering, I'm like, because it's a great honor, and it's great to honor people while they can enjoy the honor. But it was hard not to think, like, all right, is this the sign that Pat is going, and that he is going to be stepping away, that this is going to be the end? So he had some of those thoughts as well. The juiciest thing we all want to know: what does Pat Riley think about Jimmy Butler ever since all of the stuff of this summer and where he's at? And he remains pretty steadfast on the roster. I'll get into that stuff, but here he was on Jimmy, his quote on a Jimmy extension. He said, he was asked, this is from Anthony Chang, "Does Riley worry about losing Butler for nothing in free agency next summer?" He said, quote, "I wouldn't want to. He's going to have the ability to opt, and we're going to have the ability to extend. So I'm trying to get all of that thinking out of our heads, because it's living in the present moment and playing basketball. So if there's something that's going to drag me down or him down because of that, we're not going to perform at a certain level. But I think that he's embraced exactly where he's at. I think he understands where we're at. I haven't had a lot of conversations with Jimmy about it. I've talked to his agent at times. I don't have to sit down and have those meetings with Jimmy anymore. He's a very intelligent man." Look, my point the entire summer, just to reiterate it for those who haven't heard, I thought that the Heat should have given Jimmy the extension this summer, because it essentially was a year extension from where he's at because of his age, the over 38 rule, and it would have been guaranteeing his player option year with giving him an extra year, and I would have been completely fine with that. I understood the Heat's frustration with the games played thing. It was a little bit fluky how the playoff run ended because of what happened to Kelly Oubre. I got to be honest with you, my points only reiterated knowing more about what Jimmy was going through last year, that they being so dismissive. I get Pat being frustrated with last year. I'm not asking him to take back his words or anything like that, but I think knowing, and Pat even made this point about, all the personal stuff that he went through, but, I'm a little confused reading some of his quotes, to be honest with you, because he keeps reiterating how he hasn't seen this core together enough and he doesn't know how good they can be. And mind you, I'm very excited about this year, but it's a little strange that the Heat is at this point where you call the guy your biggest needle mover, you know everything that he went through last year, and you're still at the point where you're doing the prove it deal to him. And essentially Jimmy Butler, whether it comes out of his mouth or not, the report that was put out there was, all right, F it, we don't want it. We're going to opt out next summer no matter what. Whether that ends up being true or not, I don't know. But that's the report and the narrative that's been put out there. And it does get to a point in some of these negotiations. And mind you, he's very good friends with Dwayne Wade. And Dwayne Wade was at this exact point where he ended up leaving the Miami Heat for essentially the same money that they offered him. But it was after arm wrestling and Mickey really going over Pat's head for the first time, and meetings with Mickey, but he wouldn't talk to Pat, and things were very frosty, and D-Wade said, F it, I'm leaving. And the one thing you could say with Pat is, yeah, he's ruthless, and he's done this with basically all of his stars, and you heard it from Tim Hardaway, because Tim and Pat got into it plenty of times. He goes, hey, he's tired of Jimmy Butler. He got tired of it. And so, but to my point is, I just think that with what Jimmy has done, yeah, it's a little bit of a reward, but I think that he's earned it for what he's brought the organization to. I understand the frustrating parts of it. But to be fair, not giving it has put the Miami Heat in this present state, because I do like the fact that there does feel to be like a little bit of a hunger from the team. They've all kind of reset. There definitely seems like there's happier vibes. So all the negativity from the end of last year, Pat, Spo, players included, that all really feels like it's washed away. And it does feel a lot like basketball. If this team ends up being good, that vibe will continue. If there are struggles, this other stuff will creep in. So that'll be definitely something to keep a monitor on. But I'm a little confused about some of the thoughts that he has. And I think most of it, if I had to guess from Pat, is he just, he's just keeping a poker face on his chips, on his trade chips and things like that. And he doesn't want to give the inclination that they are in a position of weakness or with no assets. And I think that, whether that be with Tyler or Terry or with Jimmy or any of these things, you want to always have the front, like, you're not worried about it, that you're strength. But I remember very strongly last year, like, I believe the quote that he gave to Anthony Chang was that we're standing at the abyss. And so it's strange to be at a point where Terry Rozier, all respect, I like Terry, but Jimmy, Tyler, Bam, Duncan Robinson, that you go from a year where you're standing there at the abyss to kind of need to see it a little bit more. I get the point of it. You want to see what a more mature Tyler and a more mature, bulked up Tyler playing and shooting in more efficient spots on the floor. Still only 24, going to be 25 years old in the middle of the season. Yeah, let's check that out. I'm all right, cool. But it's like, yeah, but last year we were talking about that we were at the abyss. Bam Adebayo certainly, I think, is the guy who you're wondering, is he going to leapfrog Jimmy as far as, because they believe in him. He's the one who got rewarded and all that. And they just keep trucking along with his, with the belief in it. So he said on this team and their salary cap, he said, this is from, he said, this was to Ira Winderman. He says, this is a telling year for the team. It should be. Hopefully we can get 75 games at everyone. He knocked wood in front of everyone and said that. On their reset, why they didn't do it, he said, I was not looking at the board and saying we've got to do something. He said, don't think we didn't think about it. At the end of the day, he said, no, we're going to stay with this group. And then Ira adds, with perhaps a bit of hyperbole following, these are great players. I wasn't content in giving up on this team because we were a playing team. Yeah, I mean, like, okay, and I understand the injuries were all over the place last year, but the injuries are the thing. Like, it's not the talent of it. I think there are things that can be tweaked in the way that the Heat play, and I'm very excited to see with that and some of the new infused role guys. But as far as the core is concerned, like, yeah, I do kind of think you should, have an idea. Now, do you make a panic move? Because I think even if you looked at last year with the Lowry trade, you could have looked at him and like, all right, should they have given up a first round pick for Kyle Lowry? Yeah, maybe, because they wanted to feel like if this was the year that was at the abyss, you wanted to get something out of that position, get some real jolt to the offense that was dead in the water last year. So he said, this was from another quote. He says, I wasn't comfortable in just saying, okay, I'm going to give up on this team this year because we were a playing team. If you get in, you get in, and then you go from there. 2 years ago was the anomaly. We ended up in the finals, and I'll take the anomaly any day, but we did have a very good team. So, yeah, I mean, like, they're at a spot right now. That's the front that they have. Is it true? I mean, like, in the depths of it, like, that's the public message they're having out there right now. And the Heat like to have that unified voice on all this stuff. But I will say, whatever turmoil that they thought was going to be there from the jump, you have to give Pat Riley credit, and it seems like that's all nipped in the bud. And I said this on Media Day. I said, like, if anybody won Media Day, it was Pat Riley, because he did kind of lay down the gauntlet on guys playing and where they stood with the contract and all that. And there was no pushback from it. There was no pushback from Jimmy. There was no pushback from Tyler. Everybody was in a good mood. Everybody was in a good place. So, yeah, this season's going to dictate a lot because they are at the point where Jimmy's contract is at, and they are at the point where, I think Duncan's a non-guaranteed fully next year. And, there can be places where they can finally go and pivot if it did end up sucking, which I'm not saying that it's gonna, but it is, I think from Pat's standpoint, people look at this and say that he's hedging. I think that I think it's just more like he's trying to keep a public poker face about it. That's my read on it. I think it's like to go from we're at the abyss last year. What was that? Pat Riley abyss. I was like, what we're at the abyss. Let's see. Yeah, this was Pat's message last year. This was what he had to say. On the Jimmy Butler era, it's been successful, but it hasn't translated to a championship. I don't know if it's going to be Bam or Tyler. Somebody is going to be a 25-point-a-game scorer. We need that. That never happened. Somebody else is going to be in the 20s, the 19s, 21s, but we need those three guys, Butler, Adebayo, and Hero, to play at a level and to play together as much as they can for us and have a great regular season and a great playoff run. They're all capable. I've seen signs of Bam and Tyler in the preseason that I really like. Mind you, I'm reading stuff from last year. But this is what else what he said. He said, I look at Kyle as an X factor this year. He looks good. He's playing hard. He's smart as hell. He's all those things. Kevin Love too. And then we have guys coming off the bench. They may not be big name guys, but we have guys coming off the bench who can compete with anyone. So just to give you a note, like Pat Riley is not a dummy. Like, there will be times when he feels like he's got to lay the hammer down, and then there's going to be times where he's keeping a stronghold on, I'm not going to let you guys know or make it feel like I dislike what we got. That's the maneuver I feel like we're at right here. This was the money quote, though. This was from last year from Pat Riley. We're in the 5th year. Jimmy is anxious. We're anxious. But you get to the point where does it run its course? Not Jimmy, but does the team run its course? When it comes to the championship window, we're at the abyss. I don't mean that in any kind of ill manner other than what it is. When you come to the abyss, you've got to get to the other side. So that's where I'm at, like with, okay, last year we were at the abyss. And I know it was a much darker vibe last year because of the summer. And I do feel like it's interesting with the whole Bill Simmons thing that I went on a bit of a tirade today about. It's funny how, the national media likes to put it like, oh, the Miami Heat media messed up the Damian Lillard thing. What I really think probably happened, though, is it wasn't so much the media, especially a Miami Heat media, maybe a national media, maybe the agent. If you want to give any credence to Bill's point, I don't think it had anything to do with the Miami media, because I don't really think there's anybody in the national media that's nationally positive about the Miami Heat that really knows what they're talking about. Where I think the Heat probably effed up is embarrassing Portland by really overly strong-arming them with the Damian Lillard thing and having Aaron Goodwin, the agent, go out there and say, instead of a list of teams, one team, Miami Heat, trade them, just do it, mother bleeper. And I'm sure Pat Riley had a hand in that. I'm sure Pat Riley and the Heat have done that. They've pulled those puppet strings before. And when that blew up in their face, and they had disgruntled players, and they had a Jimmy Butler who's looking and saying, what the F, dude? He went to the Bucks, and Bam Adebayo didn't get his friend here. And now it's awkward because you're in a locker room with Tyler Hero, and Tyler Hero's in trade rumors, and Nikola Jovic is on the other side of the world wondering, am I going to be on the team? And Jaime Jaquez is like, am I ever going to be on the Heat? I'm in a commercial with Jimmy Butler. All of that stuff that they had last year just felt like it put a heavy damper on the team. And then you can even hear Pat's question of it all of, all right, well, we went too strong. Maybe we did go too strong in the paint on the Damian Lillard thing. Not the Miami media, but Pat Riley himself, and, putting that out there to Shams and all that type of stuff. And then they had to fire back with the Woj thing. And eventually it ended up where we all know where it ended up with. My point is, the Heat in some way, shape, or form ended up with a little bit of egg on their face going into last year, especially. And it's not the vibe you think you would have coming off of a finals run. This year, though it ended worse the last year, and you would think, oh, there would be more angst, it's honestly been the opposite. And it does feel like everybody's got a bit of recharged batteries and rekindled life into the team, which also allows you not to be in a panicked position if you're the Miami Heat. Because when I would take coming off the finals year, don't get me wrong, but when you swing and miss on what would feel like the final piece of a finals team, then it's kind of like, man, where do we go from here? But when you get bounced and you watch your biggest rival win the championship, well, you're almost in this place of, all right, we really got to take the wide angle view on this and think, all right, let's play this out. Let's see if it can work. Let's see if everybody is healthy together. And then we'll assess. And I think that's why Pat Riley has now gone from the abyss to, knock on wood, 75 games. We're a very good team to great team wherever. We're right there with anybody. And again, if it's not Boston in the East, who deserve their just due, everybody else in the East, I think the Heat can hang with for right now. And I'm not even saying they can't hang with Boston in a series once we get there. I'm just saying Boston obviously deserves the in-pen contender thing. Everybody else, don't really know. Even the Knicks, you don't really know. We think, but we don't know. Sixers, I mean, you go believe in the Sixers. You go do that to yourself. So Trying to see what else. As far as the future is concerned with Pat, he said, this from Tim Reynolds. He says, we have a core of really, really great players who need to find another level of greatness, and this is their time. So take the challenge. The East has gotten tough. Let's get into the fray. There's a lot of parity. We're right in the mix with everybody else. There are a lot of favorites at the top. We, by the way, are not that favorite, but that doesn't mean Jack S until you get out there and do it. So, there is one of those things. He also said, this is another one from Tim that I didn't say. He said, from Jimmy and needed more playing time. We need, as I said, more people, our best people, the ones who are the highest paid people that have the most talent to be together on the court at the same time that I believe we can get, which is to win. And he's crucial to that. So there you go. There's some more stuff on Tyler Hero, but I actually have a lot of Tyler Hero stuff that I want to get into because there's Tyler's had some really interesting stuff to say. There's been some interesting national stuff on Tyler Hero that's perused. So I'm gonna do another video on Tyler Hero, and I'll add Pat's thoughts on Tyler Hero because Tyler Hero is an interesting wild card in all of this, especially when it comes to Pat Riley. But yeah, as his point, like I just think that, to put a bow on Pat, like I just think that if you go and I read similar interview types from last year to this year, and you can already just tell the tone. The tone last year was, all right, we swung and missed. One of you guys better step up. Now it's more like, all right, we all need to be out there. No rush, no panic. There's parity. And let's go. Let's try and figure this thing out. Because if there is a move that's out there for the Heat to be made, or if it does go all the way in disarray, you don't want to be in this point where it's like, oh, I have on the like. Imagine if Pat Riley again after the summer's like, Jimmy better play his ass. Tyler better not miss. Like, this is the nice way of saying all those things. He's already done his. Called Tyler fragile. Told Jimmy Butler to get his ass out there. Told him don't talk about the opponent. And all right, that's all by now. Now it's time to have the optimistic wide view, and Pat is presenting that message. That's why this is out there the way that it is.